Before I get started with the questions, I just wanted to give some context on what I'm doing here in the background. Right now, I'm using Blender to 3D model a vending machine and will be incorporating Blender's grease pencil to give it a more stylized 2D look. This mixture of 2D and 3D will be more relevant as I go through the questions. Alright, first up, what brought you to your initial decision to go into the degree you chose? Well, I'm in the Associates of Applied Science and will be completing with a Bachelor in Game Art. When I was a kid, about 6 or so years old, I always wanted to be a game designer. That was until I found out what game designers did and what they had to deal with in order to make games. I was more interested in the creating of interactive worlds, the aesthetics of the world, and the visual design of the world over the programming logic of making a game. In fact, there are tons of games out there whose game mechanics might be lacking, but their visual design and immersion make me love them anyways. Despite all of that, I ended up turning to 2D art for a while, designing characters and drawing comics until AI art came and changed the entire commission space. Now I'm looking to return to my dreams of designing interactive worlds with my understanding of 3D and 2D. Okay, next is who is the program director for your degree program at Full Sail? That would be this handsome gentleman right here, Chad Kendall. What type of software and or programming languages will you be using in your degree? Since we're going through the entirety of the 3D pipeline, we would be starting with 3D modeling and sculpting in Maya and ZBrush respectively. Then for texturing and materials, we would be using Photoshop as a image editor and Substance Painter to apply those materials. Lastly, placing our assets in a game engine would mean using Unreal Engine. From your research, what degree skills do you think you would like to focus on and why? Going back to why I chose game art in the first place, I want to focus on environmental art with a NPR or non-photorealistic approach on materials and lighting. This is because one of many things I would like to do with the skills that I gained from this degree program is the blending of 2D techniques with 3D assets. What do you think would be the hardest classes that you would run into? Why do you think they would be difficult for you? The hardest class would definitely be texture painting and sculpting. These two stages of development were always a huge barrier for me in the asset creation stage. I did 3D modeling a lot as a teen, but I always stuck to box modeling or vertex push and pull instead of sculpting. The sculpting tools always felt unnatural to me, and as for texture painting, the concept of how you should place seams on your models is still an enigma to me. Especially when, if done incorrectly, it could be very noticeable that the textures do not line up. What do you think would be the easiest class you would run into, and why? Well, getting back into my teen years, I used to dual enroll in high school for 3D animation and 3D modeling. During my time there, I was able to compete in a few competitions with the help of a partner. My partner mostly handled all of the animations while I did all of the asset creation. We did very well, and I had always prided myself on my speed, efficiency, and a knowledge of topology when it came to 3D modeling. How would you go about succeeding in those hard classes? What can you do now to help prepare for them? Despite the classes potentially being difficult, I find them to be incredibly important for what I want to do. This means going past the curriculum and finding outside resources as well as additional resources that Full Sail would provide. And lastly, how would you break down your time to make sure you succeed in your classes? Often I find that prioritizing what tasks are more or less important and placing those more important tasks closer to the morning helps me to make sure that I get those things done first. Mornings are often when I am the most productive and my energy starts to peter out as the day goes on. Typically I structure my days like this. Mornings are upkeep and work, noon is repetitive tasks such as commission work or some assignments, Afternoon is time with family and friends, and at night is when I like to wind down with a game or some form of entertainment. And like that, we're done. I hope you enjoyed the process of me making this vending machine in the background while I answer some of these questions. Hope to see you in class.